What you believe about Bible prophecy, everything that you've learned, I ask you for this video just to, whatever you know and whatever pride you have inside of you, that you just let that go so I can get this message through to you, okay? I'm going to tell you a few things of what I believe to be true. And then I'm going to go about and I'm going to tell you some things, I'm going to read you some things, and I just ask that you listen to me. As America and Bible prophecy, at this point in time, I think, quite literally, I think it's a joke that the sheer power of the United States of America, even though you can listen to a lot of propaganda about how powerful China and Russia and these Axis power is, and I don't say for a second that these conventionally and nuclear China, I don't say they don't have a lot of power. But what I'm describing to you is the fourth and terrible beast of Revelation that breaks everything in pieces, and that people are completely blinded to the most powerful nation that has ever existed, and none will replicate it ever again. And what may come up in your mind is, well, you know, this new Roman Empire will. So if you look at the things that are happening around the globe right now, and you also may be blinded to the book of Daniel being fulfilled right in front of us. Daniel 7, 8, 11. There's more of Daniel, but I can't go over that all in my mind. We're seeing kings being subdued. Maduro, the Ayatollah, the kingpin of Mexico, Justin Trudeau. He pushes south and east, and then he goes to the glorious land. Gaza is razed to the ground. It's right beside God's holy mountain in that scripture. So we know it's Gaza. Between the mountain of God and the Mediterranean Sea is Gaza, and they just raze this to the ground. There's already a plan to build stuff there. And who is right at the helm of it? Who has the decision of all? Donald Trump. People say, and I'm not getting into that, Wickoff and Kushner, the one who has the final say is Donald Trump. And I believe he is the beast of Revelation, and also reflects the beast as being a power and a man, the Antichrist. Donald Trump is fulfilling the book of Daniel, the little horn, who, you can see the posts he's putting up. Don't think any of them are by mistake. No matter what you hear, no matter what propaganda, it's not right, the stuff that he does. He is the chosen one, right? Is he not? Is that not what he thinks? Doesn't put his hand on the Bible? He's the Antichrist of the Bible. And so when you understand, see, I'm getting actually off base. When you understand that America, United States of America, is New Rome, I'm going to prove it to you. Something that you may have never heard. And no, it's not a coincidence. To think that there's going to be a power that's going to, like, I can understand you think the whole earth is going to come together under Revelation 13, under some beast system and something like that. I think you've been thoroughly taught wrong. That's what I think. Because all these things are happening right under our nose. So he subdued 3 kings. He did. That just happened. And he also followed on the map exactly the location of what he was supposed to do. So if you know who the man of sin is, then you know where he lives in North America. So you just look on a map, say, look, he's looking at Mexico, he's fighting those cartels. Then it just says he goes south, east, and then to the glorious land. And so you saw what happened in Venezuela, man. You saw the power that they projected there. But don't hurt the oil on the wine, right? Revelation, seal 3. So he kills the kingpin, takes Maduro. It was the other way around, but then exactly due east, 90 degrees, is Cuba. And that could be another king. It just says 3 kings. There could be more people that the Antichrist takes out, of course. They're strangling that island. People are actually starving. And I understand what Trump is trying to do to China. I'm not saying any of those things are not actually happening. But the Antichrist prospers by deceit. So I'm going to move on here. So this is why, and it's unfortunate that all the teachers who ever taught you these things and talk about things in America are not of America, well, this is how people miss the end. So, pardon me, I just recognized I have like a sore on my tongue. You know, like from eating something too hot. Pardon me just a second. A lot of the Bible, a lot of Revelation is being fulfilled, and there's not a lot left to be fulfilled. There isn't. So I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to read this, and I'm going to tell you a vision that I had in around 2010, 2011. I hurt my spine, and I hit my coccyx very hard. And I developed very painful, it's the world's most painful disease called adhesive arachnoiditis in my spine. And I didn't know what it was for 13 years, couldn't find out what it was, but I lost my mobility almost completely. I could only move really from one place to another, like a couch to another, to a chair or something like that. It was really bad. I couldn't really walk for a number of years, and the pain was so bad in the beginning, and people didn't know what it was. They didn't know what to do with me. And so things were really filled up in my city, like getting infusions for pain. And this is before I knew any Bible prophecy. I was aware of the Bible, and I knew quite a few of the biblical stories, but I didn't know any studies or anything like that. And I'm not claiming this to be anything. I'm just telling you what happened to me. And so they said, for this type of pain, a ketamine infusion, a 2-hour infusion of ketamine would be a good idea for David. So I went out, and the only place was about an hour away. And it was just a small hospital. My dad took me there. I was out of it, man. My pain was so bad. Like my legs, they still do. This is why you see me move back and forth, because they burn. And it's like restless leg syndrome. So it's a mix of the both. That's not it either. But the main thing is that they burn a lot. And so, pardon me, getting hard to speak. I have a speaking disorder as well. So they took me into a it was a surgery room. It was a big open room, and I was on like a surgical table, those metal tables, and they put like a blanket type thing over it, and I was lying down on it with a pillow. And it was to be a 2-hour infusion. And just a little backstory to this. I got into my first intractable pain disorder in 2004, induced by a horrible medication reaction indirectly through medication, through convulsions. And my pain began then. Why am I saying that? Yeah, I became housebound because it was very tough to move. My life was very tough. This was now my second pain disorder, and I had spent a lot of time reading military stuff, and I would sit in front of the military channel a lot, like on the History Channel, the military channel. I would read all the things of World War II. I would read all the histories and just a lot of stuff. I spent a lot of time, probably thousands of hours in that. So I had a lot of that stuff in my mind. And so I'm going to read this to you, what ketamine can do, okay, before you judge me. Say, you had a vision, you had a false vision. It's not like that. Ketamine induces visions by acting as a dissociative anesthetic that blocks NMDA receptors, causing a disconnection from reality and sensory changes, while benzodiazepines stop panic by enhancing the effects of GABA neurotransmitter to sedate the nervous system. So when you're having this, you can have a vision, you can have delusions. So be careful in people with PTSD, and I do have PTSD. But that's not the reason of what happened to me. This was the first time I had ever had this. And this was the first time I ever had this. So I was lying down at a table. I had never had no opiate, no nothing. I'd ever really done anything for my legs up to that point. And when I had this, it was like, man, I melted. I started crying on the table, and there was finally some relief for me. But I don't know how far it was, maybe an hour in, maybe sooner. All of a sudden, I saw the United States in my mind. It was like there were tentacles all over the world. But the way that I saw it, I can't explain to you today exactly what I saw, because it was a succession of things. It was one after the other. I'm like, wow. I'm like, oh, I can't believe this. And I was so convinced in my mind that the United States was going to do something. That was my vision. And I was convinced so thoroughly that what would I think of it after? Something I never forget. But of course, because of all the Bible prophecy and things happening in the world, I remembered this dream, this vision. And I look at the world now, and I look at this. Let's take a look at another thing here. It's being very hard on my abdomen right now. Now, I believe that the United States is New Rome. That Freemasons, you can say what you want. You can see all the Freemasons. You can see Donald Trump. You can see him in his red robe. There is a picture and a video of him in a red robe. He does this with his hands. It means they're Freemasons. Don't make anything more of that. He didn't even put his hand on the Bible. We know who these people are. In his Chicago or his I don't know which one it is. I still haven't looked. But in his Trump Tower in 1980, he had into his building built a triangle upside down. The hexagram. Star of Remphem upside down. As above, so below. Below is evil. The area where Washington, D.C. and the Capitol were built, known as Rome, Maryland. So the place that they were going to build this new city and put the Capitol on was partially known as Rome, Maryland, a part of the Potomac River called the Tiber. The site is frequently described as New Rome. Due to its neoclassic design, designed to evoke the spirit of ancient Rome, with Congress meeting on the elevated Capitol Hill. Rome on the Tiber in 1663, a 400-acre plot of land that became part of the capital area. Who was that plot of land owned by? Where they built all this? Francis Pope, who ironically named his farm Rome. At what point do you say, how many coincidences in a row? I'm going to put that one in the description box. That came from AI itself. Just Google AI. So I'm going to take a little break here, guys. I don't actually feel good in my abdomen. It's very hard to keep doing this in my voice. It's pretty hard to understand when you can't actually see what's happening in the world, when you can't see the man who has turned everything upside down. I see the beast, I see the two beasts of Revelation. The other one, right? He has two horns like a lamb and speaks like a dragon, is Elon Musk. You know, he's all calm and everything, but as he's calm and he's, saying, oh, we're summoning the demon by doing this. We should put rail guards on this. The very things that he speaks against are the things that he is doing. Who makes fire come down from heaven in the sight of the beast? We know Donald Trump is the first beast. The two beasts. There's only one man that makes fire come down from heaven by himself, is Elon Musk and SpaceX. Two horns, comes out of the earth, two horns like a lamb, speaks like a dragon. Look at the Tesla symbol. It's a Baphomet. Two horns like a lamb. Do with that what you will. But, the knowledge that I had in my mind when I had this vision, it all came together. I don't know, man. It just happened. I didn't expect anything like that. And I had probably at least 15 more of those ketamine infusions after that, and that never happened to me. So, my abdomen. Listen to this. The United States military operates approximately 750 to 800 overseas military installations across 80 nations, comprising nearly 85% of all foreign bases globally. 85%. These bases, often called lily pads, range from major airfields to small surveillance posts, with high concentrations in Japan, Germany, South Korea, enabling global power projection. And you think something else is going to be built? While Elon Musk throws up thousands and thousands of satellites, and Bill Gates, and Jeff Bezos, and NASA. You think someone's going to go and replicate something bigger than this? They have 53,000 people in Japan, and 53 bases. Well, that's not a lot of people, Dave. Yeah, it is when you have this lily pad, where if one base goes down, you have your jets and your bombers there to project power on the place that's in trouble. And then all the other ones around, right? You know what happened with Britain, right? They used that as a launching against Germany and carpet bombing. Germany, they have 42,000 personnel and 37 bases at Ramstein Air Base, European Command. South Korea, 28,000. Guam, 77,000. 7,000. And it just goes on and on and on like that. So when you see the images, when you go to Google Images, wow. Like, I'm not kidding you. I'm not saying that for the effect of this video. You have to see this. I may put this in the thumbnail. It's this dotted everywhere. And then they worry about places like China and and other places, and some of them, of course, are worrisome. But so, what did I want to say next? What did I want to say next? Just give me a second to pace, guys, because of my abdomen. The United States of America is that fourth beast, that dreadful beast that tears everything to pieces. People are expecting something that's not going to happen, or that's not going to appear and materialize. Do you know the U.S. military is a big, I think I saw this morning, the biggest emitter of pollution, I think, the U.S. military in its totality. You can see their airfields of their scrap planes. They have like 13,000 planes in just a massive area, these huge graveyards. They're not really graveyards. They use them as parts and stuff, but when you look at Iran and you look at Vietnam and you say, oh, they're losing the war, stuff like this, that's fine. But what you don't understand is, in just one single day, if they really unleashed the total might, not including laser weapons from space, probably earthquake weapons, probably things you've never even heard of, if they used their fighter jets to escort B-52s and B-1 Lancers and B-2 Spirits and whatever else they have, they have jets too that carry a lot of ordnance, they could lay waste and they could win those wars in one day. They can. I know they can, because now they have precision weapons. What you see is just a display of them taking out military targets, right? And it was the media in Vietnam that lost the war. They didn't really lose the military war. If they wanted to, they could have burned down all the forests. If they wanted to, they could have done a lot of stuff. I want you to understand that unleashed in its entirety would be frightening. And Daniel saw it. So when I see the person at the helm, who a lot of the world is calling Antichrist now, because of the things that he's doing, I already understand now for a year and a half who he is. And I understand the depths of what he is. And it's probably time that you start looking into this. He is the beast at the helm of the beast. The beast is America. Who can wage war against the beast and win? That doesn't mean that people will not wage war against it. It just means that who dares to wage war against this? And it's probably pertaining to Donald Trump and just to America. There will be no power that mirrors this ever again. But I'll tell you something. That rock is coming, right? That rock that's cut out without human hands. That will smash all of them in pieces. I believe that by my calculation of the things that I see, and that's for a whole nother video, is I believe it's Apophis, is wormwood. That's what I said. I believe Apophis coming in 2029 is wormwood. They already admit it's going to only come within 19,000 miles of the Earth. And that rock that's as high as the CN Tower and as wide as the CN Tower is, it weighs 200 times that of the biggest aircraft carrier they have. 200. So you think they can calculate that space weather, that Yarkovsky effect? Of course they can't. And Tom Horn knew this. And he called up many scientists since 2004 until the day he died. Impact specialists and all those types of things. I believe it's wormwood. So that's just my belief. You can believe what you want. I don't know if there's anything I left out, but we are so far into Bible prophecy. And I believe we're right at the point where they say, but do not harm the oil and the wine. The whole world can be a hell, right? But the richest people of the earth are lined up, probably phone call after phone call to the president. Please stop this. Please stop this. We need the flow of this, because it's not just going to be the flow of oil. It's going to be the flow of all shipments. I'm already hearing about, you've heard this before. You're getting you're getting this week's thing, and it's true. There's a huge backup there. There's a lot of things that could go wrong right now, but if God wills it, let it be, right? We've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for this for a long time.